that everyone,
No, wait, you gotta get everybody's attention.
now that everyone has a mouthful and can't talk,
Adam to the floor.
but I know my favorite. I like to make a short speech. And basically, I want to first of all welcome my children for making this, my grandchildren for being here with their significant others, and all my dear friends and family who also have come. It is celebrating our 60th wedding anniversary. It's been a long, wonderful trip without any additions of things that I need to make a trip with. In any event, I always thought about what does the definition of love, if you look it up in the dictionary, and it says it's an emotional feeling. But I'm going to tell you a story, and then at the end of the story, you tell me what you think about love at that point. It started when I was a resident, my life before I was a resident at Brooklyn Jewish Hospital really had minimal influence on me until I met a certain woman who became my wife. It started in a cafeteria.
I hope we're not on fire.
Well, you've been on fire for a long time.
The minute he started a message.
It started in the cafeteria at Brooklyn Jewish Hospital. I was a young resident, 30 years old, and I walked into the cafeteria one day by myself, and I looked across, like all the music says, across the room, and there I saw this magnificent, wonderful, young student nurse in a starched outfit, and our eyes caught each other. And this was across a good distance. And in those eyes, I saw life, joy de vivre, and a question that she had, that she said, I'm going on a journey. Do you want to be part of the journey? And I volunteered immediately to become part of that magnificent trip that we were going to take. Within the next week, we had our first date. And our date was at a place called the Airport. Small little dive at the end of Flatbush Avenue near Floyd Bennett Field. In this dive, there was just myself and Diana, and a three-piece band, and a couple of waiters. No one else was in this. This was a middle of the week date because my future wife refused to give me a Saturday night date.
Sounds like her. You gotta work for it.
In any event, I asked her to dance, and she came into my arms, and the minute I enveloped her with my arms, I knew that something was different. I felt something that I couldn't explain. I lived 30 years, dated many people.
How many?
Not that many.
But this was something different. And until this moment, I still can't explain what happened. But she fit so well. It was like a jigsaw puzzle when you find that last piece and you put it in and it's completed. Well, that's the way my heart felt. The last piece fit so perfectly, and it completed my heart. In any event, needless to say, within a short time, within 6 months, we were married. We became a couple. And we embarked on this wonderful trip that my wife's eyes told me that I was going to be just a partner. I was going to partake in this trip. In any event, we established our first residence on Empire Boulevard in Brooklyn, right near Ebbets Field, in a roach-infested one-bedroom apartment. But we were happy because we were a unit. And not only that, what made us really happy, that was in a short time, we had Eric, our first son and first child. Now, we were building a wall, not like Trump's wall, but we were building a wall of a family. 2 bricks started it, cemented together, and now we had a 3rd brick to strengthen that wall. And we stayed there for approximately a year and a half when we moved to East 55th Street on Flatbush Avenue, near where that small little dive stop was, the airport, and right on the fringe of Mill Basin. And there, the 4th brick of our wall came in the form of Cheryl, our first girl, and the first girl on the Wiener side of the family, and she was a princess to everyone, particularly my father. We started this big, strong wall of family that was strong. We then moved to our first house that we decided to buy the land and build it where Diana's mother and father lived in Seagate, Brooklyn. And there we built this house on Surf Avenue and added a 5th brick to our wall in the form of Adam, our next son. And it really strengthened the wall even more. We stayed there a very short time. Of course, New York was in a terrible state, and we felt we wanted the country. We wanted to get out of Manhattan, out of Brooklyn, and into the country. And so we moved upstate to Port Jervis, New York. And there, my young bride, me, and 3 children now, having a strong unit together, we started a practice in this small town of Port Jervis. And we flourished. And lo and behold, to our surprise, came another brick.
You weren't a mistake, you're surprised. I get that all the time, don't worry.
Surprise.
And this wall now was becoming quite strong. Between the cement and the bricks, it was really quite strong. And now to add a little extra to this last child that we had, I delivered her, which is
That's
an
why
unusual,
she's so perfect.
And the rest of us aren't.
in the life of an obstetrician. Normally, we stand by, just like every mother and father, rather every
Mother's
father.
not standing
But
there.
I ended up.
You're not standing by. I'll be right back.
In any event,
Take a look.
we flourished on 24 Elizabeth Street in Port Jervis, and we then decided that we were living in the country, but we were not in the country. We were in the middle of a small town. And so we moved to River Road in New Jersey, Montague, New Jersey. And there, an explosion occurred. 8 grandchildren appeared, which made this wall, even stronger than it had been. This now was a solid family. And all of the children came in the form of Ben, Nate, Ted, Dana, who's not here for good reasons, Caden, Gail, Griffin, and last but not least, Peter. And we stayed there for 40 years, where we had what we would call a compound, tennis courts, pools, because the story is that if you build it, they will come. And they came. And we became like party central. It was wonderful. Those 40 years were magnificent. We watched our children
Even the
grow.
skinny got better.
We watched our grandchildren grow. And there was a point, obviously, when every good thing has to end. And it just became too much for an aging old man and a young bride.
Well played. Well
And so we decided to downsize, and we moved into a small rental house in Milford, where we were able to see our two youngest grandchildren go off to school, come back from school,
And
and
shoot
be
hoops.
part of their lives.
Lots of hoops.
And this
Lots of
also became a wonderful, wonderful part of our life. Our wall was really becoming quite strong. And that too had an end. I began to age a little too much. I had trouble walking, and my wife, who was leading me on this journey, you gotta remember, she's the leader, I'm the follower.
We know. We're well aware.
Takes me to Yonkers, which I never thought I'd end up in. In any event, we're back in Yonkers now, and the journey is still continuing, hopefully for a while longer. We've completed the family. We completed the wall as we knew it, we thought, except now we had grandchildren who are bringing their significant others, and not only that, they're their fiancés now. So we now are adding again. And so not only then, now we really have a wall that is quite strong. No one's going to penetrate this family wall because it is really a strong wall. And I must add a little deviation because we had a magical spot that also plays a very important part in our family, and that spot is called Acoma, where we built a house that we disappeared in every year right after Thanksgiving. My wife and I went to Mexico and spent 5 years in Acoma. And this went on for approximately 10
Months.
Every year we spent 5 years.
I'm the closeout.
Grandma, it felt like 5 years every year.
4 months a year, 4 months a year, and we must say in those 4 months, we rarely were alone. We always had family there, or friends. That if we had 1 week where we were just Diana and I think it was exceptional, because there was always either Eric with her children, with his children rather, Cheryl with her children, Adam, and Joe Ellen. And it was wonderful, because now we could watch the grandchildren really begin to grow. And those 10 years were magical. And I think we all think about that in a mystical, magical way. In any event, we're back in Yonkers. Right? Because as we said, all good things have to eventually come to an end. Sometimes they just continue into better good things, which I think we're in now. We're in the right place for an aged, crippled old man and his young wife. And I know you've all heard these stories before, but I wanted to encapsulate it and distill what love is. And I think with this story, you will begin to comprehend what the word love means. But before I end this little dissertation, I want to just say something to the most important person now in this group, my wife. And I borrowed it from John Adams, the President John Adams. He wrote to his wife Abigail after many years of marriage. He was in Washington and she was in Massachusetts with the family. And he wrote this simple 6, 7 words that I think I still feel what love is all about. And the words go something like this. For all the autumn of youth, I love you.